Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi ashabi ajma'in. Most respected Talaivar, Munir Millat, Professor Qadir Muhyiddin Sahib. Most respected K. Rahman Khan Sahib. Respected Kunyali Kuti Sahib, Abu Bakr Sahib, Bashir Sahib, all the leaders on the dais, and my dear brothers and sisters. I am not going to speak for long because you have been hearing all the speeches for the last 2-3 hours. I'll just speak on some points for 10 minutes. Why are we here today? We are here today because the government has introduced a new bill for amending the present Waqf law. Now, what was the need for amending the old Waqf Act? The old Waqf Act of 2013 was done after a lot of homework. You heard Bashir Saab, you heard Abdul Rahman Saab speaking about the homework done by the committee headed by Rahman Khan Saab. The committee did a lot of homework. You have heard about Sachar committee report. The Sachar committee report had flagged lot of issues with regard to Waqf. Based on the Sachar committee report, there was a joint parliamentary committee which went into the old Waqf laws. They said there are certain lacunas in the old laws. So they recommended certain new provisions to be added to the old Waqf laws. And that is how the 2013 amendment came into being. Now why I am stressing this is that 2013 law came after a lot of homework. It was just not an afterthought. Lot of homework was done by the lawmakers at that point of time. Now what is happening? In 2024, when this new amendment is being brought about, was there any homework done? Was there any foundation for all these things? There was none. It was just brought about for certain agendas. So fixing certain agendas. And what was that agenda? We all know what was that agenda. It was to create some sort of a social divide in the society. There was social and economic agenda for that. What was the social and economic agenda? To deprive the Muslim community of their institutions which they were holding for long. The masjids, the Eidgahs, the Qabristans, which the Muslim community was holding for 300, 400, 500 years, which are now priceless lands, they are wanting to take it over. That is one of the social and economic agenda behind this particular legislation. And what is the political agenda? Political agenda is to make this as a Muslim issue and to create some sort of a, what they are best in creating, which is polarization. They want to polarize the society on the basis of this particular new law. But my dear brothers and sisters, this is not a Muslim issue. This is a constitutional issue. Constitution has given us some rights. Now they are wanting to take these rights through backdoor by creating this kind of a hatred, polarization. So we should be guarding ourselves. We should safeguard, because society should not be divided thinking that this is a Muslim issue. They are trying to attack the constitution. How are they trying to attack the constitution by this? In the preamble itself, we know what is our constitution. Constitution says federalism. That is, states, India is a federal state. federal country where you have federal states which have got its own powers. And what is this new law going to do? It is going to swipe away that federal powers of the state. How is it going to swipe away this, take away the federal powers of the state? The state Waqf boards is not going to have any rights over the Waqf property, any rights of the management of the Waqf property. You have seen the name of the new act, no? Unified Management of Waqfs Act. And who is going to manage it? Everything is going to be managed by the central government. Nothing for the states. You have got a unified database. Who is going to manage the database? It is a central government. So if it is going to be a Waqf property, you have to check the central database of the central government to see whether your property is a Waqf property or not. There were rules which were framed by the state governments for the management of Waqf properties of the state Waqfs. Now that power also is taken away. The state Waqf boards will be managed by the rules which are set by the central government. So it is all centralization now. States are divested of the power. No federalism. Federalism is completely taken away. Federalism is one of the basic structures of our constitution. So they are trying to knock off that basic structure of the constitution itself by centralizing the entire thing, nothing for the states. And what is the intention behind that? Only if they centralize it, they will be able to do what they are wanting to do. The agenda which they want to set, they can do it only by doing that centralization. So the federalism is under threat is the first thing which we have to address. It is the first thing by which this particular act has to be thrown into the dustbin. As far as secularism aspect is concerned, we know what is Waqf. There are a lot of concerns among the brother communities that the Muslim community has amassed the wealth which belong to others, which belongs to the government. We are encroaching on the government properties and sitting on this particular Waqf property. We have to clear their doubts. This is an impression which is being created by the right-wing forces of this country. Brothers and sisters, what is Waqf? We all know what is Waqf. Waqf is a permanent dedication to Allah. So a private person, a private individual is dedicating his property to Allah for whatever purposes he wants to. So Waqf is a private property of an individual which has been dedicated maybe long time back. Everybody is saying that Waqf constitutes the third biggest landowner in the country after defense and railway. Yes, it might be because these lands belonged at one point of time to individuals. It is not government's property, brothers and sisters. This property actually belonged to the individuals. So Waqf property is actually some dedication by an individual. Now what are they going to do with this? These properties are to be managed, and this was managed by these Waqf boards. So a believer is actually dedicating its property. That property has to be managed by a board of believers. That was how the law was. Now what is the amendment? Amendment says the board can be managed by non-believers also. The majority of the members of the board can be non-believers, non-Muslims. Now brothers and sisters, just imagine this thing. There are numerous temples. Tirupati temple, there are temples in, there is Ayodhya Mandir, everything. Now these are managed by board. Now whether these boards consist of members of non-believing Hindus? It cannot be. Because a non-Hindu will not know what are the practices and procedures which have to be adopted in managing that particular temple. It is a similar thing as far as a waqf is concerned. It's only a believer who knows how to manage, what to manage, where to manage the waqf properties. There are numerous laws within the states, endowment laws, which manages these properties, which manages the religious institutions. These laws also very specifically state that this has to be managed by Hindus and Hindus alone. Then why this discrimination on this Muslim community while it comes to waqf properties? So that's a very constitutional issue of discrimination. All the provisions of the Constitution are being violated by this particular new law. Again, coming to certain new amendments which they have done. Now, this is an act which, according to me, has got grave significance than the Citizenship Amendment Act. We all were concerned about Citizenship Amendment Act. But this has got graver problems than Citizenship Amendment Act. Now there is something called waqf by user. There may not be a written record about one particular waqf property which has been dedicated 500 years back, 400 years back, 300 years back. Now if somebody raises a dispute saying that no, this is a government property, and the collector acknowledges that yes, there is some dispute about this property, that moment the property ceases to be a waqf property. It's very strange. A property which was waqf for last 300, 400 years, which was used as a masjid, which was used as a graveyard, which was used as a Eidgah, suddenly ceases to become a waqf property just because somebody has raised a dispute. So what is the intention of this? Intention of this is that by a circular method, most of these properties which belong to the waqf can be taken back by the government, can be encroached by the government. Government wants to encroach it and take it away. Lastly, I'm concluding this by saying that this is another circuitous method by which they want to introduce the Uniform Civil Code. You have seen the Prime Minister of India speaking again and again about Uniform Civil Code, Uniform Civil Code. There are a lot of things in this particular act which is contrary to the Muslim laws. Muslim laws on waqf is very clear. But this particular amendment throws in a lot of things which are indirect implementation of the Uniform Civil Code. Just one example is the oral waqf, which is a valid waqf. Oral waqf is always a valid waqf. That has been taken away by this introduction of deletion of waqf by user. They are saying that you can only have waqf if you have record of that particular waqf. So therefore, the agenda is very clear. The constitution is actually thrown to the dustbin. We have to attack the government politically, legally, and in the parliament on the issue that you cannot throw the constitution to the dustbin. The constitution is supreme, and the constitution has to survive, and the constitution will survive. With all your support, we in the parliament, we give you an assurance that we will not allow this particular bill to become act, and you should be with us. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.